Today, known as Spy Wednesday, commemorates the day of betrayal when Judas agreed to hand over Jesus to the authorities for 30 pieces of silver. And today's gospel narrates this event. 30 silver pieces were the price of a slave at that time. And we hear how Judas was seeking an opportunity to betray his master. And we also heard how Jesus planned to celebrate his last Passover supper with his disciples in a house pre-arranged by him. And during the meal, Jesus declared that one of his disciples would betray him and hinted that it was Judas. What comes to our minds when we hear the name Judas? Most of us think of betrayal first. Judas, the betrayer, who struck a deal with the authorities to sell Jesus out. The second thing that comes to our mind is a sense of relief. The disciples gazed at one another, uncertain which one was the betrayer. Lord, who is it? One asks. But they all of them want to know. Judging by their uncertainty and the questions, it could be any of them. And when Jesus gave Judas the piece of bread, I'm sure Peter and the others breathed a sigh of relief. Did you ever sit in a class knowing that the teacher would call on someone and hope it wouldn't be you? Have you ever been called to a meeting after something went wrong and the boss asked, who? And everyone looked around. Have you been in a situation where you knew someone would be named and picked and you held your breath, hoping it was anyone but you? And do you remember that sense of relief when it was someone else and not you? And you said, oh, that was a close call. The only time we hear about Judas in the scriptures is at the end of the story. It is well known that Judas betrayed Jesus at the end of the story. But what about Judas at the beginning? Would you want someone to say a single event defines who you are, who you have always been, and who you will always be? No. That's what we have done to Judas, to people in our lives, and sometimes even to ourselves. Nobody is made of just one event. Not Judas, not you, not me. Judas' name appears 18 times in all the four Gospels together. 9 times he is identified as the traitor who betrays Jesus. And the other 9 times he is identified as one of the 12, one of the chosen, a disciple. What did Judas feel the day he was chosen and numbered among the 12? How did he feel when Jesus first called him? In Jesus, what promise did he seek and follow? What was entrusted to him other than handling the money back? There is an entrustment always before a betrayal. It is impossible to betray unless you are given something to betray. Love, friendship, trust, confidence, responsibility. A promise or a call always comes with the risk of betrayal. Every promise is made and accepted with the risk of not being fulfilled. Before Judas was the betrayer, he was an entrusted one. Aren't we all? We have always been entrusted with something, and we all carry that risk that we might betray that entrustment. And that's the story of Judas. It's our story too. He is an image of ourselves. He holds before us the tension between trust and betrayal, a tension that lives within us and within which we live. Don't make this into a judgment, good or bad, right or wrong. Just recognize the complexities and contradictions that constitute our lives, that constituted Judas' life, and let that inform and guide how you want to live. And one last thing about Judas, like the other disciples, his feet were also washed. Jesus loved him as much as the others. With all the complexities and contradictions of his life, he had a seat at the table with Jesus. And so do we.